Welcome back, sweet ones, to this week's episode of Embodied Divinity. I'm so honored to be here with you today, wherever you're listening from. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're curled up in a quiet corner, maybe you're walking under a big sky somewhere, trying to remember what it feels like to be free inside your own body. Today, this is a conversation that I know Source has been weaving through me for weeks now. It's tender, it's a little raw, and it holds a truth I think so many of us are standing at the edge of right now. Today, we're diving deeper into the ache and the fire and the almost unbearable hope that rises even when we don't feel ready. So, before we dive into it all, let's take a big deep breath together in through your nose, out through your mouth. And let's just remember that this is sacred ground we're walking into. So as you listen today, just continuing to breathe and to let this moment be holy and sacred as we have this conversation about this beautiful collective experience we're moving through. So the last few weeks I've been talking a lot about the void and the ache and the becoming. And today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the ache because there have been so many of you that have been deep in this, and I have been moving through this with a massive purge the last few weeks. And the ache I'm talking about is a longing and a tenderness. It's the bittersweet throb inside your chest when you know, like really know you're made for more, but you can't seem to feel it yet. For a long time, I thought the ache meant something was wrong with me, that I had messed up my moment, that if I was still aching, still doubting, still questioning, I was somehow failing. But I've really learned the last few years that the ache is holy. It is the living, breathing evidence that you are still open, that you have not gone numb, that even through all you've survived, something inside you still wants. And want is sacred. Want is the birthplace of everything. And then there comes this moment, sometimes so small that you almost miss it, when the fire begins to rise. Maybe it's a song that stirs something you thought was dead. Maybe it's a belly laugh that slips out when you least expect it. Maybe it's an idea, a dream, a vision that flickers back into your mind like a forgotten memory. And with it comes fear. Because joy after grief feels dangerous. Because aliveness after survival feels like an earthquake inside your nervous system. Because somewhere deep inside, a part of you is asking, what if I open again and get hurt? What if I let go and fall? What if I disappear again? I want you to know this is normal. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It doesn't mean you're not healed enough. It means you're human. It means you loved deeply. It means you survived things that should have broken you. And it means that you are on the threshold of your next becoming. It means the fire inside you is stronger than the fear. I call this episode and a lot of my work Embodied Divinity because we are here meant to have this human experience, to feel the highs and the lows and the ebbs and the flows and the aches and the pleasures and the joys and the pains. We're meant to move through it all in our own time and in our own season, and none of it means anything is wrong with us. Here's where a lot of us get stuck. We think we have to wait until we are fully healed, fully confident, fully certain, before we are allowed to dance with life again. But, sweet one, you do not have to be ready to reclaim your joy. You do not have to be perfect to laugh until your belly hurts. You do not have to be finished to feel the sunlight on your skin and let it remind you that you are alive. You are allowed to be in process and still reach for wonder. You are allowed to ache and be radiant. You are allowed to grieve and fall in love with your life again. There is no arrival point, only permission after permission after permission to live. But how do we do that? Because it's one thing to talk about reclaiming joy. It's another thing entirely to practice it when it feels unsafe or foreign. So I'm going to give you a few ways I've been learning to practice letting joy in again, even when it feels scary. And I want you to know it does feel scary. I remember, and I'm pretty sure this is on an episode like 2.5 years ago. I remember the moment that I was like, oh my gosh, none of this healing has been about my trauma. It's all been for me to learn how to live authentically, for me to live feeling free, for me to experience joy and pleasure. Not to be more healed or more aware or fixed, but just deeply authentic and free. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up in, especially when you're on like the spiritual healing journey or the self-help journey. It can become almost an addiction. And about a year ago, I think I talked about the obedience wound, and it can create an obedience wound around spirituality and self-help and doing all of the things right. But I want you to remember that this is not about doing anything right. This is about living an aligned life that's aligned with your soul, that is very different from anyone else's. It's about following your own joy even when it feels uncomfortable, and honoring the rhythms of your own flow, your own body, your own needs. So the first thing that you can do is start with small delights. Notice tiny things that bring a flicker of warmth, like the color of the sky or the taste of your coffee or the way your favorite song feels against your skin. For me, tea was like a really big delight for me. I would sit there and sip it like it was a sacred elixir. Anything you can do to just be in delight of those small, sweet moments throughout the day. And then you can breathe into goodness. When something beautiful happens, pause. Literally breathe into your body and let it land. When you receive a compliment, or a stranger buys your coffee, or maybe something just works out exactly how you hoped it would, or you find a penny on the ground, or you see your favorite angel number. Take a moment and breathe in that beautiful piece of goodness and let it land deep in your body. You can anchor safety. When joy arises, whisper to yourself, it is safe to feel good. It is safe to let this in. For me, I remember when I was getting out of like a lot of the trauma experiences, I was so scared to feel anything good because I didn't want it to be taken away. I was so scared to experience joy and pleasure and excitement or have good things happen because it was like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then I started to have to retell a new story. Wait, the other shoe doesn't have to drop. I can just live a happy, grace-filled life. There doesn't have to be drama or trauma or turmoil. And that was a whole new set of skills to learn. And it started by whispering to myself in those beautiful moments. It is safe to feel good. It is safe to let this in. I want you to normalize the wobble. Understand that some part of you may panic at first, and that's okay. That's just the old wiring trying to protect you. So again, breathe into it, anchor into that safety, and let it just be there until one day it's not. And lastly, you can start expanding your capacity. Gently, daily, give yourself permission to feel a little more. Stay a few seconds longer with the good before shutting it down. Dance a little longer even when it feels awkward. Smile a little bigger even when it feels forced. Just let yourself linger there a tiny bit longer every single day. I remember vividly, this must have been 5 years ago now. I was dancing on the deck at my parents' house in this beautiful tiny country town. There's no one around for miles but my parents' house. And I was dancing on the deck, trying to relearn how to feel goodness again. And I remember it was starting to just feel like awkward and forced. And I sat down and I sat with Source and I said, I don't want to force, I don't want to fake this feeling. I want to be able to dance and be free, but this feels so awkward and forced. And I just sat there and I felt Source say, of course it does. You have been rigid and surviving for so long that this is uncomfortable. And if you're feeling sadness, sure, honor that. But if you're feeling neutral, keep dancing. Keep showing your body that it's okay to move. Keep showing your heart that it's okay to smile. And that's what I would do every night. Every night I would dance just a little bit longer. Until one night, I remember I danced until 3 a.m. and it never once felt forced. I felt free and I was sweating and everything was open inside of me. And this is a process of baby steps, of finding joy and delight in the little ways. For me right now, I was in this process, I told you guys about it a couple months ago, of just like deep neutrality. There were no lows, but there were no highs. It was just deep, aching neutrality, and it was fine. And it was peaceful and it was grace filled. But now that there's this fire rising inside me that's saying, okay, it's time to live again. It's time to breathe again. It's time to laugh again. I'm going through the baby steps all over again because that neutrality felt so good and so safe and so easy that I'm relearning how to feel these highs again without not feeling the burnout that often comes with it for me. And so I want you to know, wherever you're at in your journey, this is a cycle of deepening into what feels good for you, of what feels most alive for you, of what feels like the most joy for you. And even if you don't feel ready yet, just sticking one little toe in the joy pot every day and see what you can expand into. The things that I shared with you are not overnight fixes. They are daily rituals of retraining your body to trust life again. Joy is a practice. Freedom is a practice. Aliveness is a practice. As the fire rises, it will start to want more from you. It will want you to say yes to the things you've been afraid of. It will want you to trust yourself more fiercely. It will want you to dance even when you feel clumsy, to sing even when your voice shakes, to show up even when you think you're not ready. And you will be tempted to shrink, to delay, to apologize for your light. But sweet one, please remember, the fire inside you was not given to you by accident. It is not reckless. It is not foolish. It is not naive. It is your divine blueprint. It is your aliveness calling you home. I want to close today by speaking directly to the place inside you that is trembling but daring to hope. May you trust the fire that rises in you. May you bless the ache but not build a home there. May you remember that you are allowed to be both broken and blooming. And may you dare to dance in the in-between, clumsy, radiant, alive. You are more ready than you know. The world needs your light. Breathe deep, rise slow, and trust the life that is trying to break through you. Thank you for sharing this space with me. As always, there's a whole cacophony of offerings to support you if you're in this place. On Wednesday, there will be a new guided activation on sinking into joy with ease. On Friday, there will be a sleep meditation that will allow you to reprogram your mind to feel safe and joy. And on my Substack, there are always weekly articles, both free and paid for those subscribers, that will help you deep dive into some of these practices. And there's daily affirmations and just little snippets of words that come through me as we process through this week's theme together. I just want you to know you are so supported and so loved. And I'm always right here with you, walking through the fire. As always, breathe deep and plan on miracles. Talk soon.